So now that my hole's drilled, next thing I need to do is mount my worm screw into my chuck. Pretty much all chucks come with a worm screw. Make sure there's no sawdust in the hole, and then just crank the blank onto the chuck. So how these worm screws work is they screw in and they just hold the blank firm against the jaws of the chuck. So now that I have my blank mounted, the next thing I need to do is I need to make a mark for where I'm going to make my recess. You're going to want to measure your jaws, and the recess should just be a little bit bigger than the jaws when they're completely closed. So first I'm going to do is turn my lathe on slow. This is a pair of dividers that I use to get my measurement. So that's going to be where the recess is, and I want a little bit of a foot, so I'm going to make another mark there, and that's where I'm going to start the outside of the bowl. So this bowl is only going to be about 6 inches in diameter, so I'm going to start off at about 400 or so RPMs, and I'm going to start with a pull cut. So I am going to ride the bevel with this cut. So the easiest way to tell when you engage the edge while still riding the bevel, rubbing the bevel, and then pull through, and I'm going to make my cuts. I'm going to do this process through the whole outside to shape the entire outside of the bowl. So I'm going to use a bowl gouge to clean out the inside of this recess and then come back in with a scraper to clean up the edges and make a proper angle for my dovetail jaws. I pulled the tailstock away for this. And I'm going to be using a push cut. So I'm going to start from close to the edge. I'm using a smaller bowl gouge just to make it a little easier. So without the tailstock support, you want to make sure you do lighter cuts, because all that's holding it on is that worm screw. Okay, so there's the depth that I'm looking for. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a scraper. So I have a scraper, a square scraper that I ground an angled edge on that will match the dovetails for my jaws. A lot of brands you can buy scrapers, but it's easy enough to just grind the proper angle for the dovetails right into the side of a cheap scraper. So with this, I'm going to start by going straight in to clean up the bottom a little bit. Just a little bit at a time. So it got a little out of balance when it loosened up off of the worm screw a little bit. So now that the recess is turned and it's flipped, we're just going to take a few light passes on the outside just to true up the outside, and then we'll work on the inside.